to welcome you guys again to another episode of Messages from Beyond. It's been a while. Life has been getting in the way a bit of trying to get this done, and so many changes are happening. And 2019 is almost over. I mean, wow, this year really went by fast, but boy, was it an intense year. At least I've experienced it as very intense, energetic-wise, a lot of changes happening within myself, within my family, within our goals for the future. And I've seen many people struggle this year with a lot of different things, being very tired, very exhausted. And I think it's just this shift that we're going through. And I think we've all been, kind of influenced by it in not really a negative way, because change always comes with discomfort and it comes with insecurities and all of that. But so I wouldn't say that discomfort and change is always negative, but it can feel that way at times. Right?
Absolutely.
But we're back. We are back. My beautiful mama friend is also back. Hi, Pam. I missed you.
Everybody. Missed you too.
And today we have a very special guest who's been waiting a little bit and has been very patient with me. And Pam, I'm going to let you do the introduction. Who do we have today?
Oh, so exciting. More than a fictional sci-fi princess, she inspired millions with her talent, brilliance, and compassion. Today we have the tremendous pleasure of connecting with the most entertaining, shockingly funny, and feisty Carrie Fisher.
Yay! I love Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars geek. And real quick story, we did see Carrie Fisher up close once, and boy, was she short. She was shorter than me. Oh my God!
No.
Yeah, we went to this kind of. It's called the Facts here, which is kind of like Belgian Comic-Con thing. And she came for to hand out autographs and do a Q&A and all of that. But we couldn't get close to her. There were thousands of people waiting in line, and I was like, you know what? I love her, but I ain't waiting 5 hours to get an autograph, so it ain't gonna happen. And so our day went on. We never got to see her because she was constantly being protected behind the screen and bodyguards around her. So, and then at the end of the day, that everything was starting to close off and the stores were starting to clear up their stuff, and so we were all tired and exhausted, starting to slouch towards the exit. And who passes right in front of our noses? Here's Carrie Fisher, all alone, no bodyguard. Nobody recognized her because she had this kind of black hood on, kind of like a Jedi. She just strolled along. She probably thought, I'll just blend in with everybody else who's dressed.
She said, I'll talk to you later, right? I'll be talking to you later.
I don't think she knew back then yet, but Gerald looks at me and he's going, is that Princess Leia? And so we did see her for a few minutes. She just passed right in front of us. And so that was the only time I ever got to meet her, but she didn't really acknowledge us, so that's okay. She's here now, and she's laughing her ass off.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
If I had known I'd be talking to you, I would have met you in person.
So excited.
All right,
Here we go. These questions are gathered from your Rolling with Emma group. Yes. And you have hundreds of questions that you select from. So a few questions regarding your childhood, Carrie, and thank you for being here again. Thank you so much. Caroline is asking what your childhood was like.
Okay.
Here we go.
She says, well, I did write a whole bunch of books on my life. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. But I'm sure everybody knows my story by now. I mean, I've talked about it more than anybody else, I think. Okay, well, I guess what I can say is I grew up in a loving home with a very perfectionistic mother who loved her children more than anything, but who also injected many of her own fears and many of her own disappointments into our systems. And I grew up with a motherfucker of a father because that's basically all he was. Just fucked my mother, created us, and that was it. So I guess that was his idea of being what fatherhood was all about. I mean, I don't know. I know, I know. I am being rude, and I shouldn't say all that stuff. And I now have a whole new perspective on those things, and knowing that it was all part of a bigger plan. But heck, that was my human perspective on it back then. So my brother and I mean, we really were lucky if we could see him just once a year. I mean, that's the kind of father that he was. But when he became ill and I sort of cared for him, we really got a little bit of a chance to connect in somewhere for him. And the thing that I discovered is that he was just a mess. He was just a mess altogether, and he was a famous mess. He's kind of like my own screwed up puff daddy, and I always wanted to have some kind of relationship with him, but I never really. It just never really happened, and the ironic part was when we needed him, he wasn't there for us, but when he needed us, we were. So, I mean, what else is there to say? My brother and I were very close. We also had our ups and down moments. We had a very, how would I say it, energetic family. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of show in the family. Sometimes you weren't sure if mom was performing or if mom was really mom. So sometimes, she would turn into another character whenever a friend came over. All of a sudden, mom was somebody else, and that was fine. So let's just say that we lived a childhood of theater, inside and outside the home, and we went through disappointments, but overall, I mean, I think I was very lucky to have my brother and my mom, and yeah, so I have no regrets, and let's just say it was a unique upbringing. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, and just if I may plug your books for those that would like more detail. Great stories.
Go find them. Man,
I
got a whole bunch.
They're on audiobooks. I listen to on audiobooks. They're great. Another Carolyn question, a different Carolyn, is saying, Carrie, once I think you said, quote, it's always about mother, unquote. I thought of that when she died shortly after you. Was it always about your mother? If so, why?
Well, yeah. I mean, as she got older and the spotlights just kind of started to fade, she really felt like she needed to hold on to that light. And she just made sure that her friends and her family knew she was still around and she was equally talented and equally beautiful. So, I mean, it really was just her own insecurities. It was her fear of disappearing. Okay. And it is the lack of having self-validation, the lack of having a sense of self-worth that really created that behavior. That's really what that was. And my mom and I, we really were twin flames. So that means that we share the same higher soul. So in a way, we're really the same person.
Okay.
So that might explain a lot of things for you guys. We have the same higher soul, the collective soul, but we are individually created states of consciousness. So that as twin flames, you choose a life when you are that close. Okay, not a lot of twin flames meet each other. Let that be clear. But when you're twin flames and you've created, your higher self have created these two characters to live together very closely, very intimately, which we were. Not in a sexual way. People, get that naughty stuff out of your head. In a way, it means that we were here to love each other unconditionally, but we were also here to drive each other crazy and doing all that at once. So we couldn't really live with or without each other at times. I mean, it really depended on what we were supposed to learn in that moment. So we really were learning from each other. And so the higher self actually gets an extra learning class, gets extra stuff all at the same time. And so, I mean, it got to a point where sometimes, we wouldn't talk to each other for about 10 years, but I still thought about her every day. Didn't matter whether we were physically separated. She was always with me in my mind, in sometimes even my behavior that I had taken over from her. So she was always there in some way or form. And for her, it was the same way. I was always there as well, whether we were physically communicating with each other or not. We were always connected. And my mom was amazing. My mom really was amazing. She was reliable. She was loving. I mean, yeah, she could be very eccentric at times, but heck, life was never boring with her, and I love her to the moon and back, and we still are that close over here as well because we're one and the same soul. How close can you get, right?
That's as close as you can get, I imagine. Gerald would like to know if you always wanted to be an actress, or did you have other ambitions as a child?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I never really thought hard about what I wanted to do. I just kind of hang out. I was just present. I was alive. I was in this world, and it wasn't really my intention to ever go into showbiz because I saw how my mom struggled with it. Once you're no longer the favorite, but as a child, I did worship my mom. I mean, she had such grace and such elegance when she was on stage. I mean, people loved her and adored her. And but really, I mean, going into Star Wars, going into that kind of movie thing. I mean, and Star Wars was the biggie for me. There was another one before that, and that was really, let's not talk about that one. Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
Okay.
Let's not talk about that one. But even then, I mean, it was almost like just keeping myself busy. I was bored, so I had to do something. So I would just try this and try that. And it really wasn't with the intention of, I want to be a big movie star. It was really just like, yeah, why not? Let's just try it and see what happens, right? I mean, what else was I going to do? So this is how I saw myself. I saw myself as not being very talented. I didn't really have these amazing talents that stood out like everybody else. I didn't feel like I was the prettiest of everyone. I didn't even think I was a great actress for that sake. I mean, at least that's how I experienced it. But so yeah, no, I didn't really think about my future and what I wanted to become when I grew up. I just kind of rolled into whatever was hanging out, whatever was offered to me, and just kind of went with that.
Okay. Oh, we have really not a great segue from childhood to adulthood.
Oh.
But we'll just go with what we've got here. Dorothy is asking, how did your drug addiction start and why did you take them? That's a big question.
Well, I grew up surrounded by movie stars. I mean, what did you expect? No. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it really wasn't all that dramatic. It just started with marijuana. I believe I was around 12 or 13 years old. My mom had found some pot in this new rental that we just moved into. She suggested that we should try it together. That'll be safer for me. Of course, that never happened. She forgot about it. I didn't. I mean, there you go. That was my first beginning. So it really started out just as curiosity, just as me exploring myself, exploring life. Nothing dramatic, anything like that. It wasn't an escape at the beginning. It was really just experimenting, like many people do, I just continued to experiment. And by the time I was about 19, I guess my insecurities and my mood swings really kind of started to flare up. And, I mean, they've always been there, the insecurities and the mood swings. I mean, you're living with a mother who looks like a freaking angel. And here you are tagging along, you always feel a little less than what she was. Everybody loved me. I was cute and adorable, but they looked at my mom and they saw this divine being on stage, So she always kind of made me feel lesser than that because I just didn't think I was as pretty as she was. But so the insecurities have always been there, but they just kind of seemed to get stronger, and so I needed something stronger,
So
and
your recreational use became an addiction.
An addiction. Well, no, it was still recreational, I would say. But I started to experiment more than marijuana because I had some really bad experiences with marijuana at one point, and I was like, well, let's try something else. So I started to experiment with painkillers and LSD and whatever else was being offered to me at the time. Don't forget, I was surrounded by movie stars. So it was very accessible and it was very easy to come by. And they would just offer it to you. Hey, try this, try that. Sure, okay, let's do it. And, eventually it became a way to suppress these kind of mood swings and this not feeling good. And it started to become an addiction. But it didn't become clear to me that it was an addiction until I had my overdose. And I ended up in rehab. And in a way, that was a blessing because they also discovered that I had this kind of unidentified restlessness inside of me. And it turned out I was manic depressive. And, that's what kids nowadays call bipolar disease. So, it started off as just having fun. Eventually it became about overcoming insecurities and this restlessness that I felt inside, these mood swings that I was going through. You get kind of an eye-opening when friends around you, actors, are starting to die from this, from overdose. It does give you a kind of a wake-up call, but it wasn't enough for me to step away from it. And then the overdose happened, and things became a little bit more directed and clearer and organized. Let's just say it that way.
And then Postcards from the Edge. I'm just trying to plug you here wherever I can here.
An attempt to express what was going on inside without revealing every detail.
Yes, that was excellent, though, for the viewers that are familiar with that work. It's brilliant. Pamela would like to know what the spiritual lesson behind your bipolar disorder was.
Well, let's talk about bipolar because there's so many. Have you noticed that more and more people are being diagnosed with this? This is really going, and this is rising in numbers. And let's start about what happens physically within the body. Let's start about that. I have all this knowledge now I have to share because I didn't know any of this stuff till I died. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute, now I get it. Okay, well, what is bipolar disorder or manic depression? It really is a brain disorder that causes unusual shifts in your mood, in your energy, in your activity levels, and it really makes it hard to function normally. If you want to, okay, normally, we'll do it in quotes. A healthy human brain really will release chemicals based on the stimulation that is detected by our 5 physical senses. So for instance, when we encounter an experience that creates fear within us, then your brain will send a signal and it will start to produce extra adrenaline that could help us possibly to get away from an enemy or save our lives or anything like that. So what we perceive sends a signal to the brain, who then releases chemicals that will help us in our normal function, or that will maintain our security or safety or health and so on and so forth, right? Now, with a person who is manic depressive or bipolar, the brain doesn't properly monitor the secretion of those numerous chemicals that really are responsible for your moods and so for your emotions. And when there's an imbalance there, you're really out of whack. You're completely out of balance. Okay, so you're not getting the right chemicals at the right time. Okay, and that's why we have such huge mood swings. We feel very depressed without anything for any reason, and then we feel extremely high for no reason whatsoever either. So it's just the brain that's not discreting these chemicals in a proper way. So that's really what happens physically. Now, this, of course, is a physical explanation of why a person experiences a dramatic fluctuation in moods. However, as many of you know already, everything that exists always starts from a vibration of consciousness. So the spiritual or energetic seed for bipolar disorder really is a severe imbalance of beliefs. Okay, so in other words, how would I say it? People, trying to think how I can say it so it's clear to people. People who are holding on to very many conflicting beliefs within one entity, okay? And it's the beliefs and the truths that you all hold on to that will always determine how you experience your reality. So let me give an example, because I'm probably not making any sense. For example, some people believe that the number 13 is a lucky number. Other people believe that it's a number of evil. It's a bad number. It's unlucky. Okay, like Friday the 13th. Some people believe just another day. Other people truly believe it'll bring you, bad luck. So these two people will experience the number 13 in a very different way. Okay, one will experience it as, it's a lucky number, it's going to be a good day today, and the other one will experience Friday the 13th as everything going wrong, and it will go wrong because their mind is telling them that that's what the Friday the 13th brings. So their mind creates their reality, therefore they will experience a bad day while the other one will experience a good day, right? Okay, so a person who suffers from bipolar disease believes that number 13 is good and bad at the same time. Okay, and so what happens is that energy conflicts with each other. That belief system conflicts with each other. So people who struggle with manic depression, they are holding on to a lot of very deep rooted conflicting belief systems, which manifests itself physically into imbalanced mood swings. Now, unfortunately, most of these beliefs are held subconsciously, and so the person really has little to no conscious knowledge of these conflicting beliefs. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can someone not be aware that they have or they are holding on to opposing beliefs? Well, let me give you a very simple example of opposing beliefs that really affects most of our human population right now. So let me give you an example. On a soul level, our soul, on a soul level, all people believe that the universe is infinite, that God can create anything it wants, or that with the law of attraction, anything can be manifested with the power of our mind and our heart, okay? Our soul knows that. That is a truth, okay? But despite the fact that our soul knows that, almost all of you still hold on to and believe in the illusion and the existence of lack. There's not enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough this. While you know you live in a universe that can create anything.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get it? So
Yeah.
most of the human population lives with opposing beliefs. Now multiply those opposing beliefs. That's just one example with many, many, many opposing beliefs. So the soul and the human mind are conflicting in belief systems. And when there's too many, you get that imbalance in the brain, and that's how it projects itself. Let's just say it that way. Now, medication really can help it because it forces the brain to slowly release a steady amount of chemicals, but it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't heal. Okay, it just contains it. It makes it manageable because it's not, medication is just not able to balance the problem at its source. So besides the medication, I do recommend taking the medication. Okay, besides that, daily spiritual work and practice, energy healing, and a deep search within to understand your own belief systems really is necessary to balance out the spiritual and the emotional bodies and to detoxify the physical body. So it's really about understanding universal truth and owning it, adopting it, embodying it, becoming that truth. So you release the human illusions. So you release the false beliefs of the human mind and align with the soul's truth. That's really what this is all about. The problem is that at this time, the human race really only focuses on finding cures solely in medicine and in healing the physical body. Okay? When something is wrong, we only look at what's wrong in the physical body and how can we fix it. And unfortunately, the brain is still very much hard to fix. So what science still needs to realize is that nothing exists without the conscious creation of that. Consciousness always precedes the physical. So in order to heal all illnesses, in order to heal disease or disorders, us humans need to learn to focus more on healing the conscious and the subconscious mind first, so we can then eliminate the seed from which its illness are sprouting from. So you really have to pull it out by the root. Or no matter what disease you have, like cancer and all of that, or what disorder you might have, the moment we return to feeling or to thinking in an incorrect way, the moment we return to what the original foundation of the illness was, the moment the physical illness returns too. And that's how you see some people truly heal from, for example, having cancer. Why? Because having that experience truly changed how they saw the world, how they see themselves in that world. It changed spiritual perspectives. It opened up releasing the fear of death, and so on and so forth. But then you have people who go through it and they hold on to the fears, and they hold on to, to the disbeliefs and the false illusions, and they hold on to all of that negativity. And so they will be clear for a little bit, but it'll continue to come back as long as they don't heal the spiritual seed of where it came from to begin with. So medicine needs to start to focus on examining what's the spiritual seed behind the illness, and while treating the body, also treating the mind. And that's where we're still lacking in our human evolution. And that's part of why I'm here. Hello.
Yes. Wow. Maddie is asking you, Carrie, What were your religious or spiritual beliefs while you were here on earth, and did those beliefs change before you transitioned?
Are you kidding me? Like I didn't have enough work trying to figure out myself. I had too much work trying to figure out how I operated. I mean, no, my mom and my brother were religious. They believed in God. But I never really wasted my time with religion. I mean, don't get me wrong. During my lifetime as Carrie, I really loved the idea of God, and I consider myself to be, I don't know, an enthusiastic agnostic who would just have been happy to be shown that there was a God. But, at that time, I really was just focused on just surviving my human condition. And I just doubted that there really was a God. And so all I can say now is, sorry, Todd, you were right. There is a God. Sorry, Todd, for all the shit I gave you.
Yeah. She's saying, I told you so. I told you so. Chiara, you had a mental breakdown due to an allergic reaction to a medicine and prolonged drug abuse. You stayed awake for 6 days and you started hallucinating. It was a terrible and scary moment for you, but suddenly you saw light coming out of your head. Then you disconnected from reality, and in your words, quote, "It was fantastic," unquote. So I wonder if in those extreme circumstances, did you connect with the other side? And also now that you are there, what's your view of that whole experience?
Well, yeah. I mean, people aren't meant to stay awake for that long. So what I discovered after I transitioned was that I was really having a near-death experience with my eyes open, right? I mean, they should put that in some record book as well, right? I mean, the only person who had a near-death experience while she was still consciousness. I think that should be in the World Book of Records. But hey, it really was a great experience. I know people are going to be like, really? You were going through some. Yeah, it really was a fantastic experience for me because I felt amazing and I felt loved and super light. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but you probably felt that way when you were high too. In a way, yes, but in a way, no, because it was something completely different. And then there are hardly any words to describe the experience. Because yeah, I had those same highs, but this time they really came with this extreme clear thinking. No more fuzz, no more distractions, just purity of thought and knowing. And I believe that I needed to have that experience to be shown that I am complete and I am perfect and I am whole and I am healthy. Even if my physical form, even although the world saw me as brokenness, there's something wrong with you. I needed that experience to understand that physical me wasn't really me. It was just a part or a glimpse of me. And I needed that experience to start the acceptance process of my wholeness and slowly release those feelings of feeling abnormal. And I felt so fragile and incomplete and lost, and I needed to kind of have that awakening process to understand that what I was going through had a bigger purpose. And I didn't figure it out then what that bigger purpose was, but I knew that I had a bigger purpose. And the rest of my journey was to figure out what that bigger purpose was, and figure out how I could be of service to people who were going through the same thing as I was.
Thank you for that. From Tony, were you a victim, a witness, or even aware of any sexual abuse in and around Hollywood in your life as Carrie?
I mean, well, in that business, you always have assholes and even bigger assholes. But, I believe my mom had to deal with the shit much more than I ever had to, because she would make sure I was protected. You don't mess with her daughter. So when she was younger, she had to take that crap from directors and actors who would press their crotches against her on purpose. Some would even beat her. She got smacked in the face by one of them. Some would be very verbally abusive towards them, especially towards the women. So she wasn't the only one. And before my mom ever got famous, she was raped as a young girl by young men from her own neighborhood. So yes, I experienced it through other people's stories. I knew what actors and actresses, both actors and actresses, people, this is not just female. I knew that, I had heard stories, and um, I had never witnessed it myself, but I had heard experiences from other actors and actresses, and not just sexual abuse, but also manipulation, blackmailing you, things like that. If you don't do this movie, you're not getting this and you're not getting that. There was a lot of blackmailing going on, and there still is today.
From David. Carrie, the demons that you yourself had to face in your earthly experience were obviously a very tough experience, which in some bizarre way may have added to the wonderful creative expressions you were able to tap into had you not otherwise had those challenges. What advice can you give to the many here that are themselves experiencing the same, or if not, similar tough mental emotional challenges as you did?
Well, the thing is, I don't feel I struggled with my illness. I struggled more with being human and fitting into the picture that society wants you to be put in. I was just constantly fighting the cubicle that they wanted me to, they really tried to force me into. And the best thing that you can do is about changing perspectives. It's all about perspective. Learn to see things your way, dismiss how other people want to see you, and just live your life according to your own terms. That's really what it's about.
Okay. Oh, the death part.
Dun, dun,
Angela.
dun. That was easy.
Dun, dun,
That was the
dun.
easy part.
Okay, we're sliding into easy now.
Oh yeah.
Angela would like to know, how exactly did you die, and could you have prevented it?
Well, the usual, heart stopped and off you go. That's really what happened. I mean, no, I'm sure you can look up all the details online, but it's, heart stops, you go. That's basically it. No, I couldn't have prevented it because it was my chosen exit point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maureen is asking, how did you feel about your mother following you home so close to your own passing?
Well, I mean, I was happy to receive her with open arms and more love than I had ever felt on earth. So it was a happy time that we were back together, and I knew she couldn't live with or without me. So I knew that once I went home, she would follow very quickly, because one, we were meant to be together. We were created, our characters were created to have and learn and grow from each other. So I knew that the moment one of us would go, that the other one would go very rapidly after that, because that was the purpose, to learn together, not separate.
Nancy, what was your transitioning like?
I would say it was very peaceful. It was a really positive experience, very much like, for me, it was very much like being in a daze of heavy drugs. you know, beautiful colors everywhere, feelings of being flying and feelings of bliss, and everyone's happy to see you and smiling when you see them. So yeah, I felt like a real rush. It was it was the best high I've ever had.
Good to know. Good to
Oh
know.
yeah, it's great, guys. One day you'll see. And
Okay.
you'll
That's
say, Carrie was right.
I'll say, Carrie, get over here. Uh, Julie would like to know what do you feel was your biggest accomplishment?
Oh, that's easy. Billy, my daughter.
Oh,
She's the love of my life. That was
oh,
easy.
how did that get under the deaf part? Oh well, it's there.
You'll have to check with Emanuelle.
I gotta check with Emma. Okay, I just read them. I'm just reading them. Afterlife. Julie is asking you, Carrie, in what ways do you try to communicate with your daughter from the other side?
Well, the usual. I tickle her feet. I scream boo. No, I'm being less I don't know. I try to guide her with thoughts and inspirational ideas and feelings. And I visit her in her dreams a lot. And she can hear me in her mind. She's still not very trusting about it, though. But, you know, um, it's in a very subtle but loving way.
Barbara would like to know, what was your soul mission on Earth? What were you here to experience? And do you feel that you accomplished what you wanted to do?
Well, I was here to experience a lot of things, just like every single one of you. I was here to experience the human condition and how restrictive it can be. I was here to go on an adventure and explore my own identity. And I was here to learn to choose how to view myself and who and what I wanted to do with that identity. I was here to explore the human mind and how it can influence and change your perception of life. I was here to experience free choice and self creation. And I was here to experience mental illness, not as an illness or a defect, but really as a unique state of being. I was here to say, fuck you to preconceived ideas of what being normal should look like. That's what I was here to do. Now, for more on a collective scale, I was here to make mental illness discussable and accessible and take away the stigmas and the fears towards people who struggle with mental illness. The craziest people are really the ones that are still remembered today for their creativity, for their art, for their musical talent, for their scientific discoveries, for their medicine. Because you have to be a little crazy to be able to think outside of the human box and to look in directions that I don't know, that the limited society is just not yet able or even dares to look at. So fuck yeah, I accomplished all of that, and I managed to become a princess of the universe without having any kind of royal blood in me. So I think I did good, is what I would say. I did good.
You done good. Andrea is asking, I think we've already answered, but are you with your mom, Debbie, now? Please talk about your experiences where you are now. I love you, Carrie, with love from Brazil.
Yes, I'm with my mom. When it comes to my experiences here, let's just say that it's very different than on Earth, because everything is more a collective creation where everybody has a say. For example, we have libraries, we have cities. They're not physical, but they look physical, they feel physical. But for example, when it comes to Earth, people create it for you, and you just have to roll with it. You just have to adopt with it. You just have to try to fit into that. Here, you don't like something, you change it. It's like boom, boom. You're thinking, oh no, there should be a tree there. Boom, instant tree. So you're living in a reality where everything is in constant change and motion. So you can kind of compare it. I don't know how to, Harry Potter, when he goes through the staircase and the staircase moves.
Yes.
It's kind of like that, just imagine that people are making those staircases move so they can go down. So you can adjust your reality instantly according to your own needs, wants, desires, requests. And so it's a whole different, everything is without effort. Believe it or not, but being, despite the struggles that humans go through, we always long to continue to experience that insecurity, that mystery of life, because it's the journey to your accomplishments. It's the journey to see your creations go from your mind into reality. That is magic. And I know you're not experiencing all of that right now as magic, but trust me, when you come back and you relive it from a different view, you're going to see the magic and everything that you've done and created and experienced in this lifetime.
Cool. Christine, what advice would you give with someone struggling with bipolar disorder or attention deficit disorder? I was just officially diagnosed at age 48 with severe attention deficit disorder with possibility of early dementia and Alzheimer's disease. How does one like myself live successfully with this, and how did you conquer what you were struggling with? Thank you, and I hope that you and your mother are healthy and safe.
We're doing great. Thank you. Well, I would say, I guess the key to feeling acceptant and peaceful about who you are in this moment, with everything that entails of who you are, is perception. You need to develop a true and deep knowing and live the universal principle of self-creation. This is your life, your creation. So stop trying to fit into societal norm and its restrictive and suffocating ideas. Stop trying to squeeze yourself in a mold that society pre-orders for you. One size doesn't fit all. That's bullshit. But instead, create your own universe with your own rules and your own expectations for yourself. Fuck what everybody else expects from you. What matters in your creation is what do you want to accomplish with the rest of your life, with whatever is left that's given to you. What are your goals? It's not because you get a diagnosis of what possibly might happen, okay, but that should stop you from having goals, from having dreams, from having expectations for yourself, not to please others, but what do you want in this life? There's nothing wrong with you because you chose to be the way that you are right now for a very special mission. So see yourself as being perfect. No matter what might be physically happening in your body, you are a perfect soul, and you have to align with that perfection, because it will lead you to become the best you that you can be by really making the rest of your journey as a very special journey, and just making, turn it into one hell of a ride. Show people that having these kind of, perspectives is not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. It's not the end of you, but it can actually lift you up to a higher level of vibration. It can actually lift you up to a higher state of being by being an example to others that none of this is going to stop me from being who I am. None of this is going to stop me from going after new dreams. None of this is going to stop me from living my life to the fullest. that is how you change your perspectives. That is how you raise your vibration, and that is how you can actually achieve an amount of healing in your physical body. And that's when people create these miracles that doctors can't explain, why all of a sudden they have a miraculous healing. It happens when they start to live their life without restrictions, without fear, and without any worry of what might become in the future. They live it one day at a time, give it their all, and in doing so, moving closer into God frequency. So understand and own the following truth. You were born with the abilities to experience this physical reality from a completely different angle and perspective. So find a way to use it for yourself and for the collective. Stop trying to fit in, but to create a world that works for you. And last but not least, become your own biggest fan and cheerleader, okay? You need to cheer yourself on during the challenges, but also during your victories, and understand that both are equally valuable.
Okay. That's for all of us.
Exactly. Because we all struggle with something.
Oh, yes, exactly. So thank you, Christine, for asking that question. Kim, I often read stories of you empowering other women. Where did this drive to help others, specifically women, come from?
I guess I'm just allergic to injustice and inequality. it's just it's just something I was born with, I believe. I just believe that we're all capable of so much more. You know, we're all capable of giving so much more love and compassion. I believe in equity as a human race, but you know, our priorities are all out of whack right now. And so we need to prioritize love and compassion and assistance and aid and unity, and all come together to make this world a better place.
Oh, you did that. Mandy, from Mandy, Carrie, you're so beautiful and inspirational. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I really appreciate your role of Leia. Things are changing for the better for women in the entertainment industry. What advice do you have for women looking into acting or any other side of the biz? It's always been one I've dreamed to be involved in, but it seems like such an intimidating man's world.
Okay, well, what you believe, you will receive. So, one, don't ever allow the idea of a man's world to intimidate you. Okay? That's a false belief that you're holding on to. Why? Because that is a collective creation that's been happening for many, 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 many years, if you look at it from a human timeline. So, what is important in any profession is to do what you love and find gratitude and appreciation for the smallest opportunities that the universe provides for you. Passion, determination, self-discipline, and self-love really are the 4 key ingredients to become successful in anything you wish to accomplish. So release false beliefs, release collective creative beliefs, and believe in yourself and in your own value.
Oh, again, for all of us, that's all the questions that we have from the group. But before we close, Carrie, I would like to offer you the opportunity to perhaps give a message that you would like to give to all of the viewers here today.
I think what I wanted people, or what I wanted to leave behind, is that it's okay to go through the human muck, to go through the human mud, let's just say it that way, and have the experiences that being human is all about, and that is with the ups and downs. And when you're bipolar, those ups and downs flash in your face. They are highlighted. Everything is more intense and more challenging, although they don't really have a foundation that it's based on. So allow yourself to be human, but embrace that you're a spiritual being, and that no matter whether you are mentally challenged, whether you are physically challenged, or whether you're emotionally challenged, um, you came down here to have this experience so you can transcend the pain. You can transcend being a victim. You can transcend societal rule and demand and become your own creator. So, to everyone, if you're not creating, somebody else is creating for you. So, look at your own life, look at your own decisions, look at your own perspectives, and ask yourself, who is the creator of this idea? Who is the creator of that idea? Who's the creator of this belief? Is it me? Is it society? Or is it indoctrination by parents, schooling systems, or whatever else it might be? And make sure that you really take a deep look. And I think in my lifetime, that's what I did. I was forced to look inwards. I was forced to analyze myself. And that's why I wrote books about myself in every little detail. Because knowing yourself and understanding where every feeling comes from, where every fear comes from, where every idea comes from, where every reaction comes from, allows you to then look at yourself and decide, do I like where this is coming from? Do I like why I respond this way? Or do I choose to change it? Do I get rid of the manipulation? Do I get rid of the brainwashing and replace it with my own ideas, my own understanding of truth? Or do I follow everybody else's bullshit? Dissect yourself, dissect why you're here, dissect your own thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and ask yourself, who is the creator? The moment you become your own creator and you release all those preconditioned ideas that never belonged to you in the first place, is the moment you will feel and experience freedom in whatever way or form you have created yourself to be, physically, mentally, or emotionally. That's where true freedom lies, within the creation of your own reality.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for stepping forward, and all the many, many people that voted for you to be able to come forward today. Thank you for the valuable, meaningful messages from beyond.
Well, thank you for, I want to thank Emanuelle, because I know she's been going through hell and back just trying to get me in. And thank you for the cola. This is good. I missed this. You know, I want to thank everyone, including all my fans, for sticking by me and supporting me, no matter how crazy my journey seemed to the outside world, no matter how crazy I looked to the outside world. People stuck by me, and people saw the true me in Leah a bit. So they knew that part, that Leah was inside of me somewhere underneath all the crazy. So I want to thank every fan for never giving up on me and always sticking by me. So thank you. And thank you, Pam, for doing a good job doing what you do.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
She says, I'm going to go now. Going. Bye.
Bye.
Pam, thank you for being my beautiful assistant again today.
Oh, thank you. Love to be here.
Don't be afraid to look up Pam's website as well. I'll put the link below. She's also on Facebook, so you can find her there. She's an amazing life coach. And you do a little bit of everything, you know.
I do a little bit.
While you're coaching, you're healing, you're guiding, you're channeling. So you really are a little bit of a mixture of everything. So go check her out as well. And we'll catch you guys later. Happy holidays to everybody who's watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.